So I'm Khaled Helioui. I'm the CEO of Bigpoint, so one of the leading online gaming companies in the world. We have the chance to be working with fantastic designers, fantastic developers and artists to develop and manage games that are fun, accessible and fair for our players. So we've been around for over 12 years. We first started as a browser gaming company, but then expanded by doing mobile games and now even client games. We released our first client game at the end of the year. And we have had the chance of being successful in casual, in mid-core and hardcore. So we're one of the most diversified and more widespread gaming company in the world. So this is who we are.
You've said that quite a lot. You reeled that off so easily there. It's good.
This is my daily job. I'm spending all my time on this, but this is fun.
So obviously we do free-to-play, that's what we focus on.
This is the DNA. So one of the points, we have three values or like three elements that are core in everything that we do, and we judge everything that we do according to that. So first, everything that we do has to be fun. So we really focus on the fun that we provide to the players. We work hard, but we want to make sure that we maintain and we stay in a fun environment. Second, everything that we do has to be accessible. So none of our games require people to pay from the beginning, because that's something that actually we have a problem with. The games industry has been elitist for a long time. You need to spend $300, $400 to get a gaming system, then you need to spend $60 or $70 to buy a game. Most people don't have access to that kind of money. And so we make sure that all of our games are free to play, all of our games are readily accessible to everybody. And the last part is fairness. And that's something that has been becoming incredibly prevalent in the company over the last 2 years, because a lot of bad things happen in the free-to-play space. Some companies trick people into paying into their games. Sometimes they force people into paying in the game. So we're really working extremely hard, and we're not always successful. I'm going to be honest about that. To building the most sophisticated monetization systems that provide enough value for the players to be wishing to pay, but without destroying the balancing of the game and preventing people who do not want to pay to play our games.
So obviously you've been in the F2P game from almost the birth of it, really.
Yeah.
It's only more recently started taking off. How have you seen the progression from free-to-play players, like from how it was when you first started in these games to how it is now, and what do you kind of predict for the future? What changes do you think we might see?
So a lot of things have changed. So if you look at the free-to-play space when it emerged, it was actually predominantly composed of like what we call mid-core games. So these were like hockey management, football management games, like some simple flash games where you had like either a strategic element like a Travian, or like some action like a Seafad or Dark Orbit. But where the level, actually I shouldn't say Seafad Dark Orbit because actually these games are quite complex, but where the element of gameplay was not that complex, but it was directed at an audience that had either already played games or had an affinity to games. So it started targeting to a specific audience, and it started growing because people were getting bored and wanted to play games online. But they were not that complex, there was not so much attention to graphics, and there was only a certain level of depth within this game. The first change that you had on free-to-play is you had the emergence of what we call the social games, the casual games. And that's where, especially via Facebook, but also like on the browser and like partnership with big TV firms, a category of people that were never playing video games, that never considered themselves being gamers, were confronted with content and basically storytelling properties that allow them to have fun, discover a new world, and enjoy themselves for a while without spending money. And that expanded the market and expanded the industry a lot. So already that audience changed, because coming from people which had an affinity to games or games before, you already added another category that was basically never playing, never wanted to play games. Like, I'm not a video gamer, which was really fun because we had Farmerama, one of the biggest casual game, and when we're doing surveys and we ask people what other video games do you play, it's like, oh, we don't play video games. So Farmerama is a video game, but for them it's not a video game. So that was the first evolution, and you had the emergence of Zynga and so on, and that was a big change in the market. Then the next iteration was when you had like the evolution of technology, the evolution of graphics, a number of studios in the traditional space not being able to push their games anymore because the budgets were really going high, and basically had to make a transition to free-to-play, and you started to see the emergence of actually core games and hardcore games in a free-to-play market. So at first you had traditional players that were still like a bit distant and a bit repulsive about that. It's like, oh, free to play is evil, like people try to trick you to spend money and so on. But that has changed a lot, notably through the emergence of companies like Riot, for instance, or like also like Valve, like like when they push Dota, and we saw like a number of new kinds of game and gameplay that actually people say like, wow, this game is actually amazing, and yes, I can pay money in the game, but I don't have to. And I think that brought a whole new category of players in with it. And so if you look at the space right now, it's a vibrant and very interesting and fascinating environment. You have completely different audience with completely different expectations, completely different dynamics. Some of the casual players, after they start spending some time on Candy Crush or like some of the other games, they're like, well, actually it's fun, but I want more of a challenge. They trade up to basically Clash of Clans, and they say, well, actually, why don't I try and play games on my PC? And so you have a bit of like movements from these categories, but all in all, you see like a vibrant, evolving, growing market that is going very well. Like the game industry is growing 8% year on year. All of that growth is coming from free to play. So it doesn't say that it's not without challenges. You have a lot of transition from casual players to mobile. A lot of the growth is also coming from Asia, but it's exciting. It's really exciting.
So what do you think is going to come in the future? What should we expect next?
Hopefully better games and a bigger diversity in games that there are. I think one of the challenges that we face as an industry right now is, if you think about it, one of the most difficult parts when you come up with a free-to-play game is you need to create a business model for every game. So that's something that most people underestimate and don't even realize. So when you were a traditional developer, so you build your games, like, okay, I'm gonna see like how I'm gonna make the game entrance, I'm gonna see like how the core loop is working, I'm gonna basically put some content here and there, but then basically you ship it and people pay for it. That's your business model. You provide the storytelling, you market it, people come and they buy it. Free to play is different. So you spend a lot of time basically working and building your game, then you push it to people and they start having fun, but then within your game, you need to demonstrate to people that they need to spend money in the game and without alienating them. So a number of people have managed to do that very well. So we did it with action MMOs, like we did it with Seafight and Dark Orbit. We were allowed to basically provide elements in the game, some content like special ammunition, like some specific skins, something like that basically allow people to come in and spend money in the game, while not preventing them from actually moving on and not alienating them to basically leave the game. A number of people did it in strategy games. More recently, people managed to do it very well in puzzle games, notably in mobile. But especially in mobile, if you look at the top of the charts, you have an over-representation of puzzle games, strategy games, some very simple like management game, like lifestyle management or farm management. But that's all. Like, you have the occasional trading card game or the occasional RPG, but as regards to like real first-person shooter, real simulation types of game, like it's very rare, and they haven't managed to get that. And one of the reasons for that is because it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of iteration to come up with a monetization model. And most of the people do not want to take the risks. Like most studios are independent. The studios that are not independent have one or two games successful and they have a lot of expectation to be successful again. And so what they want to do is actually bet on things that have already been proven. So you're going to have another Clash of Clans, you're going to have another Candy Crush Saga, you're going to have another Puzzle and Dragons. But I think that users are starting to get tired of that. And hopefully we're going to have a number of studios that take some risks, that basically innovate a bit in terms of actually trying to find new models, and we're going to find new games, because otherwise we're going to have 3-4 companies that are going to do well and a lot of others are going to struggle increasingly.
So how do you find that balance between innovation and following the data? Because obviously you're looking at what's popular, what's working, and like you say, it's hard not to follow the model. Everybody wants to make the next World of Warcraft, everybody wants the next League of Legends.
Exactly.
But if you want to be an innovator, then you have to take that gamble. Where do you kind of find that balance?
I think that the way that I see it is actually like sometimes people don't think in terms of risk management in the right manner. So here it's more of a business standpoint. But let's say like we're gonna overly simplify it. But let's say that we're gonna take like 3 components where you have game design, technology, and let's say like art. But like really, I'm oversimplifying it. So you can take risk or basically innovate in all of these aspects. And when you start in a game, you say like, I really want to find a completely new design that has never been done before. I want to come up with a completely new engine that's going to bring like the threshold of what can be done on a mobile device or on the browser or on a client. And at the same time, I'm going to come up with an overall new positioning. So for instance, you're going to say, instead of doing like a strategy game based on the historical setting like Game of War and so on, I'm gonna go like completely futuristic with a new race and so on that people have never seen. And people think that here, and let's say that you have 50% of risk on each of them, but people think like, oh, I'm only taking 50% of risk. It doesn't really work like that, because you only need one of these three not to work for your game not being successful. Because if your design is fantastic, your art is fantastic, but the technology doesn't work, well, people are not going to play a game that basically breaks every minute. Likewise in the design, if the technology is amazing, the art is fantastic, but your game sucks, it's not fun, people will drop. And again, of course, if you have a great game, great technology, but the thing is ugly as hell, anyway, you see where I'm coming from. So from being 50% of risk, you end up actually 12% of being successful. 12% of chance of being successful, which is, if you see as a company generally, like 1 in 10 tends to be a hit, right? And so the way we're looking at it is actually like, we want to innovate. We want to keep doing things that are different. We always have as a company. We're the company that did the first Flash-based action MMO online. We're the first company that did the first MMO on Unity 3D, which was Battlestar Galactica. We really want to keep doing things that really bring something new to the market. But what I'm telling to the team is actually pick your battles. When you look at the kind of game that you want to do, look at what really makes a difference. You want to innovate in the technology, be a bit more conservative on the design front. Like take like an art direction and build an art bible that will be a bit more conservative. You want to come up with a concept that has never been done before. Great, but take a genre that basically allows you to do that and use a technology that has already been done before. And so this is the way by which we're trying to keep always challenging ourselves while maintaining a certain level of risk management that allows us to basically not basically drop the baby every time with the water. And the other thing that we have as a chance, as a company that we have, is that we're not working on only one game at the same time. We have a pipeline. And so like the level of risk taking that we take across of our games is not the same. So there's a game where we can take a lot of risk, but then you need to have 2 to 3 where, okay, you're a bit more conservative, but just to make sure that we have good games that we can provide to our users.
So you've got your bulk that kind of keep you afloat, and then you can take the chance on maybe getting a big hit with the innovative ones, I guess, to try and change the genre. So you're kind of saying you've got a lot of titles, which is kind of prevalent from looking over your website. Obviously you develop, but you also publish as well. Is there any genres you've not yet hit that you're kind of looking at?
Of course, there's plenty, the vast majority of genres that we haven't done. So like if you look at our portfolio, we don't have any sports game, which is crazy. You know, like actually we're gonna publish the first one, hopefully for me the days like in September. So we work in collaboration with one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, but they don't know how to do monetization, customer acquisition, so we're gonna help them for that. So we tried to publish a couple of first-person shooters, but so far we haven't been successful. It's a very, very difficult space to monetize. People have managed to do it in Asia, to a certain extent in Russia, but not in the West. And then like so many, like we don't have fighter games, we don't have beat them up, we don't have like shoot them all of the kind of things you can think of. There's tons of games that we haven't done yet. So there's a few that I'm especially looking at right now. So MOBA is still an area where we're spending a lot of time. I think it's a fantastic genre. I think that you have a lot of MOBA games that are being pushed right now, but most of them are actually pretty much the same. So when you're talking about innovating, people say, yeah, no, our MOBA game is exactly the same setting than League of Legends or Dota, exactly the same model. And some of them is like, no, the game is fully 3D. So dude, like, come on, this is exactly the same type. And so this is actually one where we actually decided to spend a lot of time. So we already released Merc Elite, but we have a new game that is even more ambitious that we're going to release at the end of this year. So we're going to have a soft launch in October. We spent a lot of time on it. We brought a producer from Riot. We hired a league designer from Asia who was at Square Enix and THQ before. The guy's incredible. And so and the team is just like one of the best teams we have. Like the developers are stunning. They're always beating the milestones. And we're feeling great about that title. It's going to be completely innovative in the way it plays. The setting is very different from any MOBA that you have in the space right now. It's much faster, much more action-packed. I love it. I think it's really fun. Like it plays different and it feels different. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'll have a little swig of your drink if you're now.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's been a long day.
So yes, obviously, covering a lot of bases of these genres. You obviously like to hire on new talent, you like to hire on good talent.
Absolutely.
Quite passionate around
That's
that.
the key part of my job.
And you've recently acquired Small World Studio in Lyon.
Little World Studios.
Little World Studio.
Close enough.
And they are now going to be your mobile studio, which you did previously have. You did have one, then it closed down for various reasons. So you're now looking to more officially get into the mobile.
Absolutely.
So you kind of saying before how hard it is to break into that kind of setting, because it's probably a more oversaturated market than browser-based games. I would say everybody can make it at home with a computer.
You have less barriers to entry for sure.
So obviously, as far as marketing goes, you guys are the big guys when it comes to browser games, especially in Europe. How do you break into the mobile market?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people are asking this question. I don't think there is a magic formula or secret formula of being successful. My take and my perspective on this industry has always been the same over the last 3 years and hasn't changed. Content is king. You're only as good as the games that you develop, you're only as good as the games that you push. So, of course, you need to be able to acquire customers, you need to be able to retain customers, and that's very difficult to do, but actually if you look at it, even the most successful gaming companies today started from nothing. And a lot of them self-publish their games, right? So I really do believe that you really have to focus on the games that you're really confident you can build. Focus really hard on listening to your customers, listening to your users, on providing them with the experience that they need. And then after, build a relationship with Apple, build a relationship with Google. Don't basically sidestep that. Try to basically build the brand for your title. So a number of people say, saying brand marketing is useless right now. I disagree with that. I think we're going back to an age where actually you need to position your games, you need to build their position, their brand into the industry, and then be as efficient and as sophisticated in your user funnel management. We hired a number of people on performance marketing, user acquisition that come from the mobile space. We have a new head of performance marketing joining us in October, coming from PokerStars. He was spending half of his time just doing mobile. So of course that's a whole new channel, a whole new way of doing things. But I really do believe that if you have the right game, the right content, you'll figure it out, you'll sort it out. But you cannot, it's not because you have the right game that you can afford not to build all that infrastructure on the side or work with somebody who does. Because even if you get to the top spots, in order to stay there, you need to keep pushing the market. You need to keep acquiring users, you need to have that presence, that relationship with a number of partners, and especially that brand.
I think it's like you say, it's like you can get your app to the top of the app store, but how long it stays there is what's more important.
It's so funny when you see all the studios say we're number one in X countries. They never say for how long. It's really funny. When people tell me that, I'm seriously, we're having this conversation right now? I know the top 10 of the app store that hasn't changed for the last 12 months. So I'm seriously, let's not have this conversation.
But I think it's like saying with the mobile stuff, where everyone says, it's original what we do. It's like, you can't trick us, we're all in the same industry, we know what we're looking at, we've seen everything that's come before. So, as far as, what was I going to say now? What was I going to say? It's all lost. Brilliant, there we go.
You had a long day too, it's okay.
Yeah. It's nice to sidestep for yourself then. Anyway, so I was going to say with the apps and stuff, obviously, you've started from a career in gaming. You're a pro Counter-Strike.
Pro gamer, feels like another life now, but
You're not that little, I'm sure you are. So obviously you've kind of gone through the different tiers. You started as a gamer, you've kind of worked your way up through the middle management, now you're at the top. And I presume a lot of the decisions now pretty much filter up to you to kind of give the last, okay, that's what we do, or no, that's what we want. Yeah,
but you know what? Probably less than you expect to. If I have to get involved too much, I'm probably not doing my job really well. So for instance, for most of our games, for none of our games, I decide actually what the game is going to be about. I don't come up with the concepts. Concepts can come from anywhere. Anybody in the company. We have this ID screening process where every 2 to 3 weeks, we ask all of the employees in the company, what game do you think we should be doing? And it comes from everywhere, from designers, from developer, artists, marketers, finance people, support, anywhere. And nobody has a monopoly in good judgment. I really believe that. But even as regards to decisions that we do as we move on, I'm more playing the role of a moderator and as somebody that challenges, that the guy who active is going to decide, this is the direction that we're going to take creatively. This is bullshit. Everybody that tried to do that in the company is not working in the company anymore. Each team is autonomous. Each team is independent. the art direction of a game is taken by the lead artist. The vision from a design standpoint is taken by the lead designer. Even the producers that try to direct that don't stay with us too long. Because if they do that, you cannot expect to hire great people if you do not let them do the job and make the decisions. So, but at the same time, yeah, it's not La La Land either. If everybody does whatever he wants, you end up with monsters everywhere. So we have stage gates, we have meetings where we gather, and I do play the role of arbiter. And I do play the role of like listening to everybody and trying to make like the best call. So it hasn't happened so far where everybody said like we should absolutely not do that, and I said we should do it. There was one instance where people were very mitigated, and especially senior people were relatively against the decision, and we still ended up doing it because the team wanted to do it and I believed in the team. But more often than not, you kind of like agree on something. So we have dissent, we have discussions, but really we want to build an environment, and we really work on how to build an environment of discussion, disagreement, and just making the best calls. So the last thing that I want to do is be making the decisions every day. So I get involved, I have to make the last call, I have to make sure, okay, can we afford to do it, should we be doing this? But I'm not the one saying like, okay, now we're doing that, after we're doing that, and so on.
No micromanagement, empower people to make
like, dude, like I hate it. Like I hate it when I have to get involved.
You said before you've got loads of games on the go. Some of them you've had for
not a ton, like a lot is like 6 to 7, like it's not like 20, 30, like.
But you have to have them, obviously. When do you decide when it's time to let a game go? Because obviously you've got numbers, but sometimes you kind of decide whether you want to kind of try and expand and build something, change something.
It's a great question, and it's never a good decision to take. It's never an easy decision to take, I say that. It's always too late or it's always too early. Like there's never a right time. So the way that we do this, and the way that we try to basically get better at that is actually by really working on our process and by putting stage gates where we review the games very often, and we're having user tests very early on in the process. We have a mobile game which is in pre-production right now. We have user tests every week, and it's very simple. If nobody likes it, if nobody has fun with it, and the team says like, even if the team says like, no, it's going to be great, it's going to be great, we review the roadmaps and review what the team is working on depending on the feedback we're getting from users. And so when we see that really something is not working out, we just stop. So that has changed a lot from the way we're doing things before. In the past, we've taken a lot of time building concepts, starting working on all of the aspects at the same time, but it was taking ages before we even got to a prototype. Right now we get to a prototype in 2 weeks, so you can start testing the game from 2 weeks. So they allow you to try more, fail more, but fail faster and fail cheaper. And with the process and documentation we have on the side, at least we learn from that and we fail smarter. But really, the moment we really decide to stop a project, and when it's in development, when it's live and it's already operating, it's a different story. When it's in development, is where first we cannot demonstrate the proof of fun, we cannot demonstrate the game is fun. We don't see the level of development and the level of progression of the game and the pace that is needed to get there, and where honestly the team is not working. And you know, it happens. Sometimes you get great people and so on, but the chemistry is not there. And you have the impression that you're spending more time fixing things than actually building a game, and that's not possible. And whenever I have this feeling, and even if, so it happened recently, we had a game where we were going through that, and some of the guys were like, no, we need to keep going because we need to push a game like that. And I was like, no, we stop. We stop because, you know, that's the first question that I'm always asking when I'm sitting with the teams, actually, do you believe in what you're doing? And sometimes people say, I will get you a game by then. So this is not what I asked you. Do you believe in the game you're doing? Do you think it's going to be a great game? Do you think it's going to be fun and so on? And that's actually one part of my job that I see is actually trying to give people perspective, take them back from the operational daily routine that they have, take some distance and look like, what are we doing? Is actually targeted to our players? Is it going to make the game better or not? And that's an ongoing process. I have to do it myself because you always like, you have this kind of like drinking the Kool-Aid. You fall in love with your own game, you fall in love with your own project. This is why I really open it up to the whole company, but I'm having more and more guests coming in and playing the game. So it was Tuesday, I had my friend, the founder and the CEO of Curse, like the gaming company. So he was coming for Gamescom, but the first thing that he did, he came to Hamburg to our office and he spent the whole day playing the new client game, mobile game we're going to release at the end of the year, just to get his feedback. Because again, because I love the game, I said like, who am I to say anything about it? Like obviously, that's our company, that's our colleagues. I have all the reasons to love that game, so I'm trying to bring as many guests as possible, even pro gamers, and have them deconstruct the game. Like So like this is not good, like this character is not fun and so on, and that's fantastic feedback for the team. I think way too many people in this industry wait for the game to be launched to start collecting feedback, which basically pushes them to make a lot of decisions that is too late to change. And so that's why we're trying to get better at.
So, of the stuff that's coming in the future that might not be, out and about, anything you can tell us?
I've already told more than I should have. So I've already been like hit on my fingers already. So the first game that we're going to release is one we're going to launch in, so the soft launch is going to be in October, so it's a MOBA game. What can I say about it? First, it's awesome. The team is amazing. Like, no, they're really killing it, man. Like, and I'm really having a blast working with them. I'm actually playing the game every week. I'm attending the masters every week, like the review, and every week the game is getting better, which is also something that is rare, right? Like the pace of development that they have is really spectacular. What can I say?
Do you have a setting? I don't want to mention it, or
sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Okay.
So, like, I'm already telling too much. Sci-fi. So as regards to all of the MOBAs you see right now, expect less swords and magic and more like really high-end technology and really exciting worlds. But even the lore is awesome. The story that these guys have come up with, the art direction that they've given is great, and you have much more focus on the characters themselves. Like they all have their own story. They all have a reason why they're working in this world. They all look awesome, and the game mechanics, the way we have changed the game, like it really brings, like, we call it MOBA, but it's really like, and we already had, it's really funny. We had already thought about bringing a lot of that in Mercury, but a lot of people say that the first game of a team is really the great one, because you're always not sure if you make the right calls, you tank and so on. And we matured a lot of that stuff to basically come up and like say like, okay, here we were not aggressive enough. Here we tried a number of things that didn't make sense, and you only learn from your failures, and out of all of these failures we managed to basically come up with like, okay, this is really what makes sense. And here you really have a hybrid gameplay. So I play League of Legends, I play Dota, but this is not exactly my thing. Like I tend to get bored after a while, and I honestly suck at it. And I started playing this game, and actually like you can get to fun very quickly. The matches are shorter as well. It's much faster, and you have more skill involved. I put it like that. You have more skill involved. But yeah, you'll know very soon.
So it has the kind of the more casual easiness of League of Legends, but the detail and complexity of Dota.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely not as hardcore as Dota. It's definitely not as hardcore as Dota. I think that it's definitely closer to League of Legends from a casual standpoint, but you have some elements of gameplay that definitely bring a twist to it. And the game is just plain different, man. Like actually, like when Hubert, like Chris was with us, he said actually, he told me it does feel a bit more like a console game, which is very interesting. Because of the gameplay. So I honestly, I cannot wait to get the feedback from the players. Like this is really the one where I think people are going to be so like, wow, this is a Bigpoint game. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be quite fun.
And for a soft launch, how many heroes / champions / whatever you call it are you hoping to kind of?
Not enough.
Could always be more.
Yeah, no, of course it should always be more. But actually, like what I told to the guys, actually, my perspective of that actually was less is more. In the sense, like you should really feel comfortable and really amazed by all of the guys that you have. But normally designers and producers are right. Like this is a content play. You need to basically push more characters and more players. I think we're gonna be around 10 to 15 at launch, which is not enough. But this is also why we're doing a soft launch, so we can start pushing like more characters, keep building the lore and so on as we go. And by January, February, we should have closer to 20 or something like that.
So obviously, you seem quite passionate about that. That's going to be your game.
Yeah.
So you're obviously stepping more into the mobile stuff. You've got all the browser stuff going on. You've got some client stuff going on. Profit aside, which game that you look at and do you go, I wish we'd made that one. I wish that was one of ours.
Oh wow, dude, like many, but you have a number of fantastic games in the market, right? League of Legends is incredible, but beyond just being a great game, it's an incredible company. It's an incredible story. The attention to the user, the attention to the player is fantastic. The culture and the philosophy that they have pushed internally is really inspiring. It's actually why we've been hiring a bunch of guys from there, because they've been fantastic at bringing and hiring great people. And honestly, we aspire we aspire to a lot of what they have been doing with League of Legends, with the new games that we're launching. So it's different positioning, it's a different kind of game. We don't want to copy what they've done, but there's a lot of inspiration that we can take out of them. But to be fair, even saying that, like, it's tough for me to say that we would have liked to do League of Legends. Like, we're not really looking at the competitors. Like, we just want to provide great fun to our players. I'm really just glad that we have Dark Orbit, we have C5, we have Dragon Sand, we have Flammorama. I believe in every game that we have in our pipeline. So I'm seeing great games that are being done out there, but you know what? Not so many. You don't have that many great free-to-play games. So League of Legends is one of them. Clash of Clans is another one of them. Supercell is doing a fantastic job. Puzzle and Dragons is awesome. Then it gets more difficult. Like, commercial success doesn't mean fantastic game in my book, so.
But it helps.
It helps. But like, yeah, I don't think there are so many great games out there. This is the opportunity that we see. There's definitely a lot of spots to fill and a lot of like positions to take. But no, I wouldn't take any other game.
You like what you do?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's more fun when you're trying to build something, right? This is also why we're always careful about like, copying things that have already been done. Like, when people tell me this is the Clash of Clans of, this is the League of Legends of, I'm like, no. If you have to use somebody else to define yourself, that's usually a warning sign. I think you should inspire yourself. Like, League of Legends was inspired of Dota. I mean, like, there's no way to basically say the opposite. But who says right now that League of Legends is a copy of Dota? Like, the game has its own positioning, it has its own community. So I think you have to really focus on building the best experience for your players and really focusing on that. The more you look around you, the more you're trying to calculate and so on, focus is awesome. Just focus on your players and on your games and you'll be fine.
Well, it seems like you're doing that. It seems like you're doing it.
We're trying. Let's see. The players will tell.
Well, thank you very much for
thanks
meeting with us and answering some of our questions. Very, very well.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.